So I would like to POIs verbally and wait a second. So my speech will start in 3, 2, and 1. A couple of questions I'll answer in my speech. First of all, how BNPL is better than government loan. Second, how this provides people an incentive to get what they want. And third of all, how on our side, we're able to prove the service that will stay the test of time. Because simply, we believe this is not a debate on which side can prove how on their side consumers will be more responsible and not overspend. In fact, this is actually a debate on that which side can benefit consumers, customers, and when it comes to their financial needs and wants. And we'll also prove to you on our side in the clashes below on which side can actually lead to less mindless behavior of buying. So before we come to that, a couple of clarification is that note that in this debate here, on our side, we're supporting for BNPL, in which we would like to clarify really clearly on what exactly is this service. We have made very clear that this service is basically a service that will lend consumers money, or that will basically allow the customers to pay later and get what they actually need right now, which means that this service is interest-free, if you are likely to pay this on time, which is more beneficial when opposed to government loan, because in government loan, which means that you have to pay the money monthly and there will be debts monthly or yearly. So there are a couple of clashes I would like to tackle in this debate. First is on which side can lead to less mindless behavior buying, because proposition can't continue saying that BNPL can result in overspending, debt, late fees, and charges, because really this is something that seems to happen on both sides of the house, since this isn't a matter of which services will harm people, it's a matter of responsibility. And even if on their side, people don't have services like BNPL, they can still run into debt normally if they don't take responsibility for their actions. And we believe if a customer really want to buy something, if they really want this bag, or they really want to have this washing machine or dishwasher for their family, they will do forever in their will to purchase that items, whether through services, borrowing money from close relatives, or using a credit card. And this means without any services to help them, they can still run into debt just fine. But here's on our side, it's way better, because know that BNPL is way different from other kinds of services, since it allows people to be more flexible with their choices and make transactions better and easier in their everyday life. On our side, people will be more mindful of what they're going to do with their money, since they will be given a plan to go over. Yes, proposition said there will be guidelines if we borrow money from the government, but on our side, this happens just the same, and it's even better. Because on our side, if they were to see a button which says buy now, pay later, they'll click on it. It's not like they're going to automatically buy that right away without any second thought, but there'll be a plan for them to go over. There'll be signatures and there'll be plans, just like what the government loan do. And we'll explain later why this is even better. And second of all, we'd like to make sure, why do people engage in BNPL in the first place? Because oftentimes a person will only engage and apply in this kind of service, or they will only borrow money when they truly want something. For example, a house, a washing machine, or a computer. And this means as an average reasonable person, I have enough knowledge to know that. Now, on the other side is for proposition. They say things such as there will be irresponsibility, this will target vulnerable customers, and those people will basically don't have a clear understanding of BNPL altogether. Proposition is very unclear what those vulnerable groups actually are. They've been talking about how people coming from poor backgrounds or coming from a disadvantaged background will be more likely to engage in reckless behavior. First of all, we don't understand how poor people have no money whatsoever will suddenly have the incentive to purchase lots of items that they can't even afford. And proposition does a really bad job at framing this. They haven't mentioned what type of things that they're actually going to buy, and they only mention things, for example, like school supplies, etc. If I were to be poor and don't have a high income, my first priority would be supporting my study, my family, instead of lashing out on lavish items that I can't even afford. And this applies to all people, whether they're even rich or whether they're poor, because people there, we believe that in this case, as an average person, as my second speaker has proved really clearly, they have enough incentive to know what exactly do they want and what is their priority in life. And second is on both sides alternative, BNPL versus government loan. Because a couple of questions we want proposition to answer and they fail, and they only mention this a little bit in the whip speech. First of all, how can people on their side, specifically, they mention a lot of people coming from a poor background, have more responsibility when they actually borrow money from the government? If they said that they don't have responsibility when it comes to BNPL, how can they also have the same responsibility when borrowing money from other kinds of people, not to mention the government, when in the beginning they say so? And second, how can people not run into debt on their side? Because noted that people can still run into debt, and when they run into debt, the consequences of the government is way larger than on our side of the house. And how can the government loans benefit people altogether? On our side, we still win because we're able to achieve those two things, responsible spending and accessibility. For responsible spending, noted that they will be able to pay installments over a short period of time, which means that they can choose option. There'll be option poses on the screen, and they can choose when they're going to pay $5, when they're going to pay $200, which day and which time of the year. And this means people have flexibility when it comes to when they're going to pay their money, how they're going to pay for this. The other side, they say to us how people might be tempted to click on items if it's BNPL. But again, this is not going to happen, since this will not automatically mean they will purchase this right away, but there'll be policy being given out like any other kind of services. Because let's note that if you're if you're going to lend someone money, you're not want them to get away with the money, right? There must be policy, guarantee, and promises. And on their side, if people on their side fail to pay or pay late, there'll be arrest warrant from the government, taking away property, and high interest fee, which all of those are disadvantages of government loan altogether. And they also mentioned one final thing, which is on how companies, they might benefit from financial struggles of people, specifically BNPL. We don't see how this is being portrayed because every company makes profit as long as it's legal. Just like government loan, if a person failed to pay money, they will also face consequences just like any other types of lending services. So therefore, we believe what PNBL services are doing is completely right. They're not exploiting people in any way. It is just common sense that if we fail to pay, we get punished. On a side note, if you actually pay on time when it comes to BNPL, there won't be any interest fee at all, as opposed to government loan, which there will be lots of debts monthly or yearly, because in the info slide, it specifically mentioned how BNPL loans are typically interest-free and rarely carry other service fees. And if you, in the event that even if you're not able to pay this on time, then you will be your credit score will be lower, which means that in the coming up, you'll be more likely to be responsible. But overall, we think what BNPL can achieve and what government loan can't is that for BNPL, it provides people an alternative. It provides people accessibility to things that they need right now. If you can't, if you don't have, let's say, $10,000 right now or $200 to buy a washing machine, you can easily go on BNPL and ask for that. But when it comes to government loan, the process is really lengthy, and sometimes you will not get served right away. So overall, we're very proud to oppose this motion.